Welcome to the Starter Girlz podcast, your ultimate source of inspiration and empowerment. We're here to help women succeed in every area of their lives: career, money, relationships, and health and well-being, while celebrating the remarkable journeys of individuals from all walks of life who've achieved amazing things. Whether you're looking to supercharge your career, build financial independence, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, the Starter Girlz podcast is here to guide you. Join us as we explore the journeys of those who dare to dream big and achieve greatness. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and welcome to this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girlz podcast. Wherever you are tuning in today, we are so thrilled to have you. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading. I'm so excited about my guest today. This is going to be good. We got another Texas person in the house today, which I'm so excited about because I always say when I get to talk to my local peeps, it's a lot of fun. So let me tell you just a little bit about this guest today. So today's guest has a powerful story that speaks to resilience and transformation. Born in Chicago to immigrant parents, he grew up in challenging circumstances, raised by a widowed mother who relied on community support and housing programs to provide for her 4 children. Moving frequently and navigating difficult environments, he faced early struggles, yet those experiences planted the seeds for his future drive. By 17, he reached a pivotal moment, realizing it was time to change direction and invest in himself. So I am going to be so excited to chat with him today. For you guys who are going to be tuning into this, this is just an awesome story because he is like the age of my kids and he is doing like incredible things at such a young age. And so I really get excited when I hear young entrepreneurs talk about their journeys and what they're doing and how they're making a difference in the world. So we're going to get to hear from him. But before we do that, I need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. All right. And with that, we are ready to bring our guest on. So Ali Alzurufi has since built a successful residential cleaning business, Tidy Upped, which has become a well-loved and respected service here in Texas. Alongside his business accomplishments, he's dedicated to giving back, from volunteering as a mentor with Big Brother, Big Sister, to partnering with Cleaning for a Reason to support cancer patients. His journey from a turbulent youth to award-winning entrepreneur and community advocate is one of growth, impact, and inspiration. So I'm excited to have him on here. I know you guys are going to be excited to hear his story and learn from him. And so Ali, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here today.
Who's this great guy you're talking about? I really want to meet him.
I know, isn't that fun? Hey, listen, you know what? I don't know if I shared this with you, and I've said this so many times because people always like those bios, but I will say this. Is it not fun to hear somebody else talk about the cool things that you're doing, or isn't it just nice to hear it from somebody else other than what you know already?
Yeah, it sounds great. I feel like it's a book, written about my life or a movie, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me on here. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to be great. So I spent many years in the Mary Kay world where we had to read accolades for people coming up on stage. And so as a leader, I always had to have them and I had to present them for the people that I was trying to recognize. And so I've had a lot of years of preparing those kinds of things. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the show, is getting to shine the spotlight on the guests coming on the show. So I'm glad you liked it.
Cool.
Good to know.
Great introduction.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about you. I want to talk about the cleaning service. I want to talk about what this is and how this got started, because as I mentioned in the bio, you are a young entrepreneur. And it's not every day that somebody at 17 decides, I need to change something in my life, and then turns around and creates this business and then starts doing really well at it. So walk us through this.
Shoot, yeah, I don't know where to start. Um,
Well, tell
Yeah,
us maybe what was this defining moment when you were, what was this 17? Like what happened here that made you realize you needed to do something different?
okay, great question. So yeah, at 17, like I got in a lot of trouble and I didn't like where I was at, and I knew that if I didn't make changes, like I wouldn't be going anywhere. And I was kind of dissatisfied with myself. I didn't like, you know, yeah, I didn't like where I was at. So just kind of all of a sudden I had this switch. I think I was always a smart kid, and so, I decided to like just take serious action. At 17, I thought, I'm gonna pick up every book on self-development. I want to, um, immerse myself with mentors or people who are successful, and then I just kept doing that. Yeah,
Do
that's
you
really all it
remember
was.
like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it.
Do you remember what that first, like, was there a book that really stood out at that time for you that you, because I know like for me, like I have
Mhm.
these like pivotal moments where I can tell you like something just kind of sparked it. I read something, saw something, and it made such a huge difference.
Yeah, I think then I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I think that was kind of the early stage. I was watching a lot of Ty Lopez videos. Ty Lopez, someone who's like pretty big in the social media world.
Okay.
And I liked his lifestyle, what he was doing, and I related to his story because he grew up with a single mom in North Carolina, and his dad was, I mean, this wasn't my case, but his dad was in prison, so he just grew up with a single mom. And then he went on to be a multi-millionaire, so I just kind of related to him, and then I just kept finding other, victory stories like that, people who had a troubling childhood, but then they grew up to be very successful. So I just kept clinging to people like that, and then just kind of kept doing it. But now, like my personal development is like a lot different from what it was before,
Sure.
um, my self-awareness and things like that. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, and first of all, it's remarkable that, okay, there's a lot to this because there are a lot of people who go through life that have crappy upbringings that never get out of the crappy stage, right? Like they continue this pattern. It's like that never escapes them. And then there are the people like you that say, okay, I don't like the situation I'm in. And the only person that's going to be able to change is there's nobody going to come in here and save me. I'm going to have to figure this out. Right. And I kind of, when I, even though my story is nothing like yours, I can hear that in your voice because I think that's the fighter mentality of I'm going to either do this or I'm not. Like I'm going to either
yeah,
play victim or I'm not going to play victim. And I just
mm,
yesterday it was funny. I was talking to someone and we were talking about emotional intelligence, but we were talking about how as healers we set out to heal ourselves because we have to go through things, right? And I jokingly said, I don't know about you, but I'm not very good at being a victim. Like, and I don't care what it is in life, whether it's me being sick or it's a physical thing or it's like term, whatever it is, I'm not really good at playing victim. And so I think that's what I'm hearing when when you're talking about this is that you took this situation and you got like, I don't want to continue down this path. Like there's
yeah,
nothing here. And I'm going to have to, what is that saying? Like take the bull by the horns kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Like,
right.
and change my situation.
Burn the ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned emotional intelligence. Like that's something I've been learning this past year. Is like I've become like I'm doing pretty good, for someone my age.
Yeah.
But I noticed that everything I've been doing is was very anxious. I'm always in my head. I'm always trying to achieve and do better. And that's because, I felt like if I didn't, I was a failure.
Right.
And so like this year, I've been learning how to be more present and like become more, you know, in tune with my innate, abilities and like, what do you call it? Like consulting with your heart and just being present
Yeah.
rather than like always being in my head. So that's something new, like, I've been working on this past year. And so, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exciting, Ali. We were talking about that yesterday too. Seriously,
Oh
that
yeah.
because as achievers, that is something okay, like I'm in my 50s now, so I'm grown up kind of. I'm still growing every day, but I feel like I'm kind of grown up
You
now.
still
But
got
I will
another
tell you
hundred
my
years to
entire
go.
do what?
I say you still got another 100 years.
I do. I feel like I do. But the thing is for my entire like I grew up kind of with the same mindset, and mine was really driven towards, I felt the only way that I was going to get praised or recognition was if I was achieving.
Mm,
And I wouldn't get anything if I didn't. And so I always felt the need to be highly achieving things like,
mm,
and so I would do a lot of things because I would think if I did this, people are going to like me more and they're going to think I have more
mm,
credibility. And I've done a lot of cool things. I mean, I've run marathons, I've written
mm,
a book, I've done podcasting. I was successful in Mary Kay for 20
mm,
something years. I set a company record in another company, earned a car in like 90 days in a company. I mean, I've done a lot of cool things. But a lot of it I did. And I'm not saying that to say, hey, I'm a cool person. A lot of us do cool things. But I did it because I felt like I needed to do it in order for people to appreciate and respect me. Right. And now I love hearing this from you because now I feel like I'm in a place where I do these cool things because I want to do them, because I like growing and I like challenging myself. But it's not because I don't care what everybody thinks about what I do. If my theory, you don't like it, then just don't go away, don't watch, go, do what you need to do. But it's more about because I want to learn more information or take in more knowledge. And then I realize, hey, the stuff I'm doing is pretty cool. It might help somebody else kind of thing. Right. So I love hearing you say that because I think that's a process that we go through. But what I will give you hope and say is that it's almost, and you're probably recognizing that now, that it's a little more freeing, right? Because you're doing it because you want to do it, not because you're
yes.
needing approval and to be liked and all the things.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
much better. I feel like it's more honest, if that's what the word I'm trying to look for.
Yeah. It feels present. It feels good. And I like, I, I'm like discovering these things because I'm surrounding myself around people who usually are like been around a lot longer than I have. And so,
Yeah,
they point these things out and I had no idea. And it doesn't even register with me right away sometimes.
right.
Um, and then it hits me like one day I wake up, I'm like, oh shit, that's what they meant. You know?
It's cool and it's exciting to watch you because I think, from your perspective, I mean, where you are right now, oh my gosh, when you're like sitting at my age, like what you're going to do, what you're going to have learned by this point. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all on our own journey. That's the thing,
Right.
and I tell people, I started Mary Kay working as an entrepreneur at 27. That's when I started my business.
Nice.
And my daughter at that time was like 18 months old. And I'm a very different person from there till today. But the crazy thing is I tell people, I was in the company 17 years before I really started really understanding personal development. So it's impressive that you're picking up on a lot of this because, I can tell you much of my 30s, it was going in one ear and out the other. I mean, I was a queen of affirmations and goal posters and that stuff I'd be like, whatever, in one ear, out the other, and then I had my own pivotal moment that really started, it made me become aware of how I was contributing to my own situations. And that's when I really started diving into all of this and starting to understand about, circle of influence and the things I was consuming and how I was looking at things and working through past trauma and all of these different things that were really shaping how I was perceiving the world, which wasn't in a great way. You know what I mean? So I'm impressed that you're in this part of your journey where you are, because I think by the time you're going to be doing really well. I mean, you're setting yourself up in such a great place. So
Thank you. I
give yourself a
appreciate that.
big pat on the back for that. I think
Yeah,
it's awesome.
thanks.
More young kids need to be listening to this so they can do these cool things and do
Yeah,
amazing
they
things.
should. I think I've become a really good manifester.
It's
I
good.
notice the other sometimes like quicker, like sometimes very fast. So
Yeah.
I was at customer's house a couple of days ago. I was doing an estimate, and usually I go in with a folder and a pen, but I forgot my pen. And I was at her fireplace, and I was like, in my head, I was like, dang, I need a pen. I looked over, and there
Right.
was a pen on the TV stand.
And it popped up. It came into existence. I love it. I love it. Well, I guess the good thing there is see you adapted and you know what? Sometimes you gotta roll with the punches, right? Because I was kind of smirking because I can tell you I've done that plenty of times. I've gotten in somewhere and I'll be like, when I used to do Mary Kay, like I would need a calculator to do my sales. We didn't have we had phones, but let's go back to 1999. when cell phones were kind of really not that
That's
great.
when I was born.
Yeah, and so I had a calculator, and you go in, and I'd be like, I don't have a calculator. How am I going
Mm.
to add this up? I'm going to start writing stuff down on the paper. We'll just start writing it out. Like you learn to just improvise. So
Yeah.
it's good. So let's talk about the company, how this came about for you. Like, what
Yeah.
was the inspiration behind this? Like, did you just wake up one day and you're like, hey, this sounds like a cool thing to do? Or was there something that kind of played out for you?
Yeah, actually, like running a cleaning company, something that's been like I've thought about multiple times, but I never thought that I would actually do it. I just thought about it. And then at 17, like when I started my personal development, I also started out different business ventures. I
Okay.
started with buying and reselling clothing, and I would go to like thrift stores, garage
Yeah.
sales, things like that, and
My
buy it for
daughter does
cheap
some of
art.
that.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, and you can
Yeah.
really make
She likes it.
good money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot, like, doing it at a young age, because you have to do your market research to see what things are going for, and then you have to learn negotiation, you have to learn pricing and a lot of things. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a little bit of networking because you go to the local garage sales.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I started with that, and then I started up my first like LLC business, legit business was in digital marketing, so Facebook ads, Google ads, social media, website, and I had a big vision for that, but it didn't go where I was like envisioning for it to. But
Gotcha.
I learned a lot. And then at 19, so this is a couple years later, 19, I thought I want to do a new business venture. And I started researching, what kind of opportunities I can get into. And whatever I was processing at the time, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do cleaning. And so from there, I literally just started the cleaning business. That was it.
I
And then
love it. I love well, and I feel like every time I've started something, that's kind of been my journey too. I just decide I'm
mm,
going to do something. I just do it.
mm,
But I think it's such a great thing because it's an area where like you really can't go wrong. I mean, especially living where we are here in, the suburbs of Dallas. I mean,
mm,
cleaning is a big thing here. People pay for it and they want it. And so you're definitely in the right place for that kind of thing. So it really just comes down
yes.
to marketing and networking. And interestingly, that's how we met, was through networking. So I think it's impressive, that you're
Mm,
out doing that, because there are a lot of business owners that don't do a lot of that. And I know in all the years that I was in Mary Kay, that was never really something we talked about doing, was networking. We were sort of in our little bubble. And
mm.
we were always taught, you start with your friends and your family. And I don't know about you, but I have a feeling you're going to agree with me on this. You don't get rich off friends and family. So you just need to let that go. They're good to start with,
Yeah.
like to help you kind of get going, but you need to like move out of that circle really fast and find real clients. And so yeah, so you've got to get out there and hustle, and you got to network and meet people and build relationships and get the word out there.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. Like when I started my business, nobody knew about it. A lot of times when you start your business, people tell their family first.
Right. You didn't tell anybody?
I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want anybody's opinions, and I
Yeah.
knew people were going to try to, say, don't do this, don't do that. So I literally just started it,
Yeah.
and then I started picking up. Then I told my
Then you
family
told them
because,
after it was kind of
yeah, and I
good
only
for you.
told them because I needed to hire someone, so I hired my brother and sister. So,
Yeah. Good for you. No,
yeah.
and I think I probably would have done maybe the same thing, because family, I think, when you're talking about businesses, family and friends don't, if they don't understand that the fire of an entrepreneur, they don't get it, and they have a tendency to want to protect, and so a lot of times they will squash things, like, right. And if you don't strike me as the type of person that is swayed by other people's. I'm not like that either. Like, I will listen to what somebody says, but it's not, I'm going to make my own decision. I'm going to ultimately make my decision. Um, and I think you have to be that way. Sometimes it doesn't mean you don't take advice from other people, but I think when you're starting things, or when you're following a passion or dream, whatever, you sort of got to put those blinders on a little bit, and you know fade out that noise around you. And if that means you have to do that solo path a little bit, and then find, which is good, you did, because you're in these communities, these networking communities. So you found other people that are kind of walking along that
Yes.
journey with you, that can say, do this, Ali. You got this. Do this. You can make it happen. That's
Yes.
where you need to find your support, your cheerleaders, and your people that can, tell the other
Yes.
people when it's time.
Yeah, 100%. That's so important to have a group like that. Because now
Yeah.
I have that. Now I can run my ideas by people, and any criticism or, positive, like it's all supportive and good.
Right.
So yeah, it's great to find people like that. When I first
Yeah.
started, I didn't have people like that, so I chose not to tell anyone. Um, so you have to find, yeah, it's good. You have to find good people like that you can have around your circle.
Yeah. So you've won a couple of awards. I know you were telling me about that. Tell us real quick a little bit about that because I think that's impressive as well.
Yeah, rewards. So I got nominated Best of Home Cleaning Service in Allen this year for 2024, and they announced it last week, and then we got nominated last year too for 2023. And then
Congratulations.
thank you, I appreciate that. And another reward was Top Entrepreneur of the Year 2023 through City of Allen, Allen Fairview. And yeah, I think, and neighborhood favorite. We got next door neighborhood favorite too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so impressive. I mean, it's almost like now all these people you were, family you were scared to tell, and you're like, look at what's happening, and I think it's fun. I think it's just great. Well, and it says a lot about the quality of work you're doing too, if you're
Yes.
receiving those awards, because it's a lot of work running a business. And I think, customer service is such. By the way, I have to say this because every time I send you a message and I get those little cute little text messages that come back, like today, the dust bunny thing, I was cracking up like faster than I'm like, these messages are so great because there's nothing for one, they're different, they're unique. They're
Mhm.
unique. So when you see them, you're thinking, this isn't just a hey, we got your message, we'll get back to
No.
you. Like it's a little bit unique, and I like that. But I think it's so important because it's customer service is really. I mean, as a business owner, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, there are a lot of cleaning companies out there, so you have to set yourself apart, right? And you
Mhm.
have to be different. And it's always like, when I'm working on things, I'm thinking, what would make me different than the other person coming in the door that's going to make this person want to call me back and utilize my
Mhm.
service again? Right. And so you have to be thinking about this. And so I love those little messages, by the way. I think they're good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if you ever try reaching out after business hours, there's a message, a cute message like that too. It says, you're reaching us after hours. We're probably busy perfecting our towel folding skills or something like
I
that.
think I've gotten one. I think I have seen one
Okay.
because I messaged you or something after. They're all great. I think they're great messages. I like that you've got them set up. And I think the thing I think that's fun about them is they're kind of lighthearted. So they're not
Mhm.
just like, you caught us after hours and our regular business hours are, everybody does that. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Every time you caught
Yeah.
us after hours, please call back at normal business hours or leave a message. That, these are
Yeah.
unique. They're different. And people go, oh, well, you caught us with, it's making light of the situation. It makes it fun. It's memorable. And so, and I think that there are things you're doing, which, I think is impressive. What do you, I think maybe for somebody listening to this, because they're going, okay, so what is this? Maybe aside from those messages, what do you feel like makes what you guys do different? And what would maybe be this contributing thing that help you get these awards?
Yeah, great question. I really don't re I really don't kind of look at what other people are doing, honestly. Maybe I
Yeah.
should, but I don't look at what other cleaning services are doing, and I just do the best I can with with what I know. So I don't really compare myself to others,
Good.
and I just do the best I can, and I know I'll attract certain clients based on what I'm doing and what I'm putting out there. And so I try a lot of different things. I think with the technology, um, that's probably different than most places. But I don't know because I don't really see what other people are doing. Maybe people are catching on to it, but I'm very advanced in automation and tech stuff.
I
So I
like it.
apply a lot of it in my business. So my customers, they get they get appointment reminders. They get a text whenever the cleaner is on the way. They get a text when the job is done. So they're
Yeah.
always
You're very
communication is
informing.
always there. And
Yeah.
after the job, we leave it open for them if they have any feedback, so that way we can address it right away. And then we make a note of it on their account. And then, um, yeah, and so I just make sure everything's organized too. So not only do I have
Yeah.
automation, but in the back end, everything's organized. So if a client, for example, ever says that this wasn't done or this was missed, I make sure that it never happens again because we make a note of it, and everyone or whoever goes to clean that house can see that note. And so that way we make sure that, we follow through on uh,
Right.
client satisfaction. So I think, yeah, good customer service because we're making note of all of this. If you're not
Yeah.
organized, all that can get lost, and then your customer leaves, you have an unhappy customer.
I like
Yeah,
that you're I think the thing that's standing out in my mind is the having the notes so that anybody that comes in can pick that up because there's nothing like, and I mean this could happen on any level, but there's nothing like you have a different person come in and they have no idea anything that's going on, then you got to start the process over again, right? Like and it could be in any business, really. We're not just speaking into the cleaning industry, but any
right.
business where we have clients and somebody different could be working with the client and has no idea the history with the client or anything
Mm,
going on. And then they walk in brand new, you know what I mean? And so
exactly.
I love
And
that you're making that accessible to everybody on the
yeah,
team.
and it's not only that. So also I have notes for client scheduling details for my admin assistant who helps with the scheduling. And so anytime we're going to schedule someone for whatever reason, um, that's not been to that home and it's going to create some inconsistency for the client.
Yeah.
So my admin will know that and we'll reach out to the customer in advance to let them know that so and so usually comes and cleans your home, but they're sick or they're out of town for this whole week. Are you okay with someone else? I'll make sure, I'm sure you'll be happy with this person or whatever. Do you want to change it? So we're on top of it
Yeah.
because anytime it's not consistent, so I want to make sure like the service is consistent.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
No,
we
I think
stay on
that's
top of
great.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's great. And it does. And I think it says a lot because I know like me, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. But I think it on as the client, that thank you for, letting me know. So we have a different person. You walk in the door and you got a whole different person in there. I know when I used to do
exactly.
one of the cleaning companies, I don't remember the name of them, but it was somebody when I first moved to Dallas. Every single time I had somebody different every single week. And we used to
Oh yeah.
laugh about it because they never spoke any English, which is fine,
Right.
but I didn't speak any Spanish. And my daughter, my oldest, was completely fluent in Spanish. And so
Mm,
many times they would come in and have to tell me something. They would either have the Google translator or I'd have to go get my daughter out of the room and be like, what are they saying? Can you
mm,
translate, to me back and forth? But it was always a different, I very seldom had like the same person
mm.
coming in, and they
Yeah.
were different. They would have different styles of doing things, which is fine. But I think as the client, it's nice to know that you're kind of keeping
Yeah.
up with that and saying, hey, we try to keep it consistent, but if we need to do this, we'll let you know. And that way you have the option to decide what you want to do. It's good.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
actually another huge differentiator is that a lot of cleaning companies have a high turnover.
Yeah.
I don't. A lot of my employees stay with me for a long
It's
time.
good.
And
Yeah.
well, and not in the beginning. In the beginning, I was trying to learn how to,
Sure.
grow the company and stuff and how to manage people. But I pay my staff a good wage. I treat them fairly. And so they're happy showing up every day. They take pride in what they're doing. And that results in happy customers too,
Right.
because, people love what they're doing. Whereas in a lot of other companies, like you said, you have a lot of people, different people showing up. The whole
Mhm.
company's having problems with retaining employees, being
Right.
profitable, and then they have to go out of business. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's another differentiator
Take care of
actually.
your people and the people take care of the customers, right? That's the way it works,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm actually preparing some holiday gift baskets for my employees right now.
Awesome.
Actually for my customers too, my referral partners. But let me just
Yeah.
show you a couple things on
Yeah.
my
Show us what you got happening.
uh so I'm gonna be putting in some organic, good stuff, chocolate
Okay.
bars in there.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah, and I've
winner. Chocolate's good. Winner, winner.
got some raw local honey from a vendor in Allen.
Okay.
So it's like a
Good.
nice local
Yep.
touch.
Yep.
Got some thank you cards in there. I'm preparing some all natural cleaning solution, um,
I
and
love it.
some hand sanitizer bottles with like the Tidy Up brand on it, and just different stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah.
great. I think it's good. I think that you're doing good. So I'd love to know because I know we've talked about a lot of things, and somebody listening to this, I know most of us know that there's always challenges, like you mentioned a minute ago in the beginning, the turnover. Obviously, now things are kind of smoothed out. Your people are happy and it's working well. But some of maybe some things you had to work through in the beginning as a new entrepreneur, especially being young. What do you feel like were some of the bigger challenges that you had to get through, other than not telling anybody, right, the family yet till you got
Yeah,
it going? And
yeah. Um, I think the best thing was getting a coach very early, because there were a lot of things I wasn't even aware of. So one of the biggest challenges was managing. I had no idea how to be an effective manager, and then I was running a lot of limiting beliefs you know, that were, what do you call it? That were showing up in the way that I would like run my business and talk to
yeah,
people. So one thing that I used to do is that when I'm talking or when someone tries to confront me or, you know, comes at me in some way, I would freeze. Like I would literally freeze and not know what to do, what to
just go
say.
silent.
Yeah, and go silent.
Yeah.
And you know that was what was happening early on, but then after getting some coaching, becoming aware of it, now I'm a very effective manager. You know, people I can before I used to not recognize when people are um you know what do you call it, like verbally abusing me or you know trying to set something up. I used to not see it. You know, and I would think that I was doing good customer service, but now, you know, I can recognize it when someone is coming at me in a threatening way or whatever, and you know, I address it all professionally and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big thing for me. So learning how to be an effective manager and then also how to like be always in a calm and, you know, state. And yeah, so that was one thing. And then also numbers. Numbers was a
Hmm.
challenge because or you know knowing what income is coming in, what expenses are going out, maintaining your labor costs, quoting properly, um, measuring, tracking. So that was another one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
all of those things you're talking about, I think, are very real things that I think we all, first of all, the limiting beliefs, I think everybody at some point, and I still think, and I think they're almost kind of an ongoing thing. I mean, you still wrestle with them all the time. You just get better at recognizing and how to navigate those situations, and so the yeah, and I don't know about you, but like when I have people come at me, it's funny because for me, it's almost the delivery with me with people is almost as important as what they say. And what I mean by that is somebody could come to me and be, hey, why are you open to some feedback, or are you open to, having a and I'd be like, yeah, sure, tell me. But if somebody comes at you and they just come at you full throttle and they're like, you did this and you did that, it's like a whole whoa. But I think, to your point, I think as you get better at learning to navigate that, I think you sort of remove, it's almost like the conversation I had with this gal yesterday. You know your worth, right? And so now this isn't attached to the worth. So in other words, if you don't feel valued yourself, then somebody does that to you, you start feeling bad about yourself, right? So then it comes at you, like, what do you do? Ah. But if you know your worth, then when that comes at you, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. How am I going to handle this now? Because this person's clearly upset that it's not me. This is this person's stuff. This is them. And now how do I engage in that conversation? So I think that it's great that
yes,
a couple of things I'll say. It's great that you got a coach to help you with that, because that's a lot of the stuff I do when I work with people. But also that you recognize that you needed to get that figured out or work on that so you could be effective, because managing and leading is not easy to do, and it can be good or it can be bad. And some
yeah,
people are better leaders, some are better managers. It's great if you can do, be a visionary, be a leader, but also learn how to manage people and get them to move and do the things you want them to do too.
yeah. And I want to add to that so a lot of things I was doing or do I don't even recognize it. And then when I'm meeting with my coach, this is why it's important to have a coach, because when you're meeting with your coach, you know, they'll ask you what the week was like, and then you'll
Yeah.
start explaining, you know, what happened. And it was through those conversations of me explaining what happened, how I reacted to it, that my coach, who's been around longer than me, has the experience, was able to recognize it and pointed it out. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I didn't even I didn't even look at it
Right.
like that, you know? So so a lot of it I didn't recognize by myself. It was pointed out. And then, you know, I became aware of it. I was open to that feedback that I got. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and sometimes it does. It takes a fresh perspective. Somebody, it's another set of eyes to kind of look down in and see the big picture, right? Because we get, for ourselves, we get hung up in the weeds, sort of like the thing that happened. But it's nice when you can have somebody come in and they can sort of see the abstract. They can see the big picture and go, well, here's what I see is happening, and maybe this is where we need to make a small shift, And so I'm with you. I do coaching. I do that. So I'm with you. I believe the power. I've always had somebody in my space that has helped me. I don't have one right at this very moment, but I just ended a mastermind this at the end of October. I was in one again. And so I'm continually always kind of doing the same thing, putting myself into positions where I can have somebody kind of look at what I'm doing. And even like I was building out, I'm in the middle of building out an offer suite right now, which is,
Oh,
I
nice.
have the high ticket course built. I worked backwards. I have the high ticket built, but I'm having to now engineer it backwards to take somebody from the beginning and get them to the high ticket, which is hard because I have to go back and remember where I was. Okay. I've been in this space for a while. I've been doing this since 1999. And so, anyways, I went into this mastermind to help me to figure that part out because I'm like, I got this $10,000 program over here I want to sell. And I'm thinking, who's going to buy this? Right. The person like me is the person like me. They would pay for it, but they're kind of like me. They need a lot. I'm trying to get the person down there that needs that, but they're not going to pay that because they're here. So crazy when I went to this mastermind, like one of the first things she said to me, she said, I want you just to put that down. Just put it down and stop looking at that right now. And you're going to have to unthink, like unlearn some of the stuff you've learned and back up, which is so hard because we get set in the things that we're doing and the way we want things to work. And sometimes that having another set of eyes on something can open us up to go, okay, maybe I'm just getting hung up on this particular thing and it's really not allowing me to do the big thing I need to do, right? Or I'm not being able to manage my people because I think I'm getting, but I'm just missing a small something in there. So I think it's great that have put these kinds of people in your space to help you grow and really expand your awareness.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I
It's
think
good.
like you mentioned, you get like you're doing things and then starts to become habitual, becomes pattern. I think it's great to be dynamic and it's good to be consistent and focused, but it's also good to be open-minded. And this is what's helped me. I think it's great for people to be open-minded and curious and dynamic. So I'm a pretty like what do you call multifaceted person. I have a lot
Yeah,
of different interests, different hobbies, but I'm always open to trying something new too and expanding my way of thinking and picking up different books and I'm able to relate to a lot of different people
sure.
because I'm always in different types of spaces and just always learning differently. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of interest, I know you're doing some acting. So tell us a little bit about that. Like what inspired that and what's going on with all of that?
Yeah, so I just started acting in August. And so I'm a beginner actor right now. I'm taking classes. And then a couple weeks ago, I auditioned for a play and I got cast. And so that's going pretty good right now. So I'm running, my business during the day and then acting at night. And I'm really enjoying it. Like it's something, like I told you this year, I've been working on being more present. And I've been also dancing for about a year and a half, salsa and bachata.
How
And
fun.
yes, so dancing and acting, it's all in the arts
Yeah.
and it's there, those are fun and also those are all things that you're like really present when you're doing it.
Hmm.
And I'm a very creative type of person. And so I think it was pretty inevitable that I landed here in acting. And when I was younger, I used to draw, and then I was actually in a play when I was younger too, but I was in the fourth grade, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Very
And
cool.
so yeah, and I like music. So yeah, music, dancing, acting. It's a lot of fun, and
You're
it's
gonna
a
be well
different
rounded,
yeah.
Ali. You're gonna be good at all the things. You just gotta get the cooking in there. You're gonna have it all, the dancing, the acting, the
I
business.
I
You might
cook. I
you
actually
cook too?
cook.
Okay, well, you go. See, you're gonna have be just all well rounded. I'm kind of like that too. I don't do all that stuff you do, but I get it because I'm a creative person too. And here's the thing. I think art stuff is important. I think we need it because I think that creative uses the other side of the brain that we don't get to focus on as much because we're always having to think numbers and serious and all the other parts. So I think when you add that to your life, I talk about this with my clients all the time, finding that thing that adds flow to your life, whatever that is you enjoy. If it's playing piano or playing the guitar, maybe it's a sport. I don't know, whatever that is, because we all have a little bit of creativity in us. Just some of us, I think, recognize it more. Um, it's important. It really is, and I think it makes you dynamic, and it adds value to your life, and it makes it the other stuff, the mundane, more manageable. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on that. I think it's cool you're doing all that stuff. So this is kind of a vision question. I'm going to wrap this up here
Yes.
pretty quick, but I got kind of a
Sounds good.
vision question for you because I think you're like I am in as far as visionary. Where do you see Tidy Up going? Like, what's the vision for this company?
Yeah, the vision is so the vision is to continue growing Tidy Up, becoming more present, covering more areas here in Texas. And it's a company I'll most likely, um, so eventually in the business, I'll be an absentee owner. And so the business will run by itself. And I'll be keeping the business for cash flow. I think it's a very solid business. It's in a good area too. And so I'll most likely have this business for a long time. And it'll just continue to grow and expand. Um, and then I'm like a lot of it, I'm actually constantly like envisioning what to do with it, and adding into it. But another thing is, as the business grows, we'll also start offering different types of home services. Um, or one thing we're doing now is starting to offer natural cleaning solutions. Or actually, we've been doing that for a little while. So adding that into it, and then yeah, just different things like I haven't done any of it yet. It's just some ideas, but just yeah, offering other type of service, home services, and the
Yeah,
name Tidy Up, can apply to other home
right.
services too. So it's a pretty general name,
Yeah, I like it. I like
so
that
yeah, that's the
you're
plan.
thinking big picture and thinking long term. Like, hey, what can we do to this and keep growing? And I love it. I get
Thank
excited
you.
when I hear people with ideas. I like
Thank you. Yeah.
ideas.
And I'm gonna be a famous actor too.
I know. I think we're going to be seeing. You're going to be doing your acting and your dancing. You might be like on Dancing the Stars one day, or so. We'll be like, hey, we knew that guy when he was a kid. He was just kind of starting out here and all that stuff. Cool stuff. I love it. I think it's great. So, I had one other question. I totally forgot what I was going to ask you, but maybe it'll come back to me in just a minute. Oh, I know what I
Yeah,
wanted
I
to ask you.
think
Aside from
yeah.
like personal development, because I can tell that this is like a huge part. But what other like self care practices do you do that you feel like are important in your space?
Oh, a lot.
I know
So
that's why I'm asking you this because I know you
yeah,
do. I can tell just by the way you're talking, and so maybe for our listeners,
yeah.
because I do a lot of stuff, and I understand the value of it. So I want to hear from you, like a couple things that you do that you implement, you feel like are really powerful for you.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna live to 150.
That's great. I love it. I love
So,
it.
there are a lot of things. Um, One, I would say I'm probably gonna lose a lot of people here, but don't drink alcohol.
Oh,
Probably
I
lost
don't
most
drink
people there.
alcohol, so you got me listening. I don't drink alcohol.
But so no alcohol, but daily, also no processed food. I cook everything I eat. I know exactly what's going in it. It's and it's all like sourced organically and no pesticides. All that plays a difference in your energy that you put out every single day. So I'm young, but there's people my age who aren't active and who
Right.
like don't have the energy and are always fatigued. Um, and so yeah, so good food, and then I don't drink any coffee either. I just drink tea, but no caffeine, so it's all herbal tea. Um, I don't. We'll see how long that can continue to go for. So I don't do any of that. Exercising, weightlifting, and then creating healthy boundaries for you. So like when I started this new hobby with rehearsals for acting,
Yeah.
um, I noticed that their requirement was 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But I noticed that started eating into my healthy routine because I need to be up
Mm,
early doing things. And so I'd recognized that and I immediately reached out to them and I told them, hey, I need to be out at 9 o'clock sharp every day because of this, this, and that. And that was my boundary for myself. And they respected that. And they said you could leave sharp, 9 o'clock sharp. And so there's different things will happen if you can recognize it immediately that it's causing you to not be happy or it's interrupting your, what makes you
sure.
happy. You need to
Yeah.
address it right away. Because so that's what I did there for the acting. I wasn't gonna let it. I was willing to step away from the play
Yeah.
if they weren't willing to let me leave at
Willing to
9,
meet you. Yeah.
because I know I wouldn't have been happy or functional, the rest of the week and with my
Yeah.
business and other priorities.
It's good.
So yeah, so I'd say that and just keep it balanced. I'm doing pretty good. I spend a lot of time running the business, but I keep it balanced. I don't, um, and I do that by delegating, hiring the right people. Sometimes I have to put in more time in, like, when you lose someone or whatever, but then I quickly try to adjust back because I kind of can sense when I feel good, what makes me happy and what doesn't. So I try to adjust as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's good. Well, and all your response there, you're probably pretty safe because all of those I do myself as well. And I'm actually a low carber, so almost carnivore. So I pretty much eat all, I was telling, I pretty much eat all unprocessed stuff, period, because I eat
Mm,
a lot of meat. But it's funny because I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, it's interesting because I didn't grow up like that, eating like that. I mean,
mm,
we ate very poorly because we were in a lot of activities. And so we ate out a lot. And I say I was a microwave child. I mean, I could pop a TV dinner in the microwave and be fine. But now because I do the low carb and I did not start all of that for weight loss. I did all that because of a health condition I have, that my life has actually become much simpler because I don't really have to think about food that much and I just eat so I can live, so I can be healthy. And I know what I can and can't have. And it's actually harder for me. It's not, let me say, it's not that hard, but it is more difficult to eat out than it is for me to eat in because I can fix something up. Like yesterday, right before I got on a show, the girl was talking about food and I started laughing in the middle because I was about to go on an episode. I was starving and I was like, I don't have time to cook. And I'm looking in my cabinets like I'm about to just pull out yogurt and pecans because that's where I'm at. But I'm like, if I eat that, I'm not going to get enough sodium and I'm going to be hungry in an hour. So I go in the freezer and I pull out a hamburger patty and I throw it in the pan and then I get to work and the damn thing's burning. My son comes in, flips it. And then I'm like, I gotta get this done. Like, I gotta eat in like 3 minutes because I gotta be on this thing. So I get the burger patty out and I'm like, where's the mustard? Where's the mustard? I ate a patty with mustard. That was my lunch yesterday. That is what I do because one, I don't want all the crap. I don't want all the sugar. I don't want all the carbs and I want it simple. And so there are many days like I will just eat meat and there might be a vegetable on the side over there, but I mean, I pretty much, and my life has become so uncomplicated and I feel better. I'm not sick all the time. So, so, but, and I don't drink alcohol anymore either because I have it does not make me feel well. It actually makes me sick if I drink it. So I don't do alcohol. So you're in a safe place because these people have been hearing this stuff from me for a while. So no processed food. I don't do
yeah.
alcohol. Make sure you get your sleep in. Think about who you're
Yes.
hanging around with. Set the freaking boundaries. Make sure you have time for your personal care.
Mhm.
All of those things. You're in a safe place, I assure you. It's all good. So what is your one because you do eat good and I feel like we all have like a guilty pleasure even though we do eat
Mhm.
good. Mine's yogurt and pecans. That's my guilty
Mm,
pleasure. I love it. Every now and then I go find a low carb ice cream. If I'm just dying to get ice cream, like I really
mhm,
want some, I go to the store. I found one the other day. I've known about this brand. It's called Rebel, and it's probably not. It's going to have some stuff in it, but it's
mhm.
probably the best, one of the best low carbs. But I found one the other day that was a peanut butter caramel chip. Oh, it tastes like Butterfinger. It is so good. And I haven't had a Butterfinger since I was in my 20s. No kidding. Oh, it's so good. And normally, if I buy a tub, a pint, it'll last me like the whole week because I'll just all week I'll kind of nurse it. It was gone in 24 hours. Like it was gone. I ate the whole tub. So, so what's your one
Yeah,
guilty
my,
pleasure, good thing you want?
you know, um, that's something like the past few years, I haven't actually had any guilty pleasures. Like
Good.
I've had such a like no interest in any sweets or anything like
Yeah.
that. But this year I noticed I started craving some sweets. So my guilty
Oh,
pleasure are dates. So it's still kind of healthy, it's not
yeah.
processed food. So
Yeah.
dates, um, occasionally I might grab a chocolate bar, but I'll go with the organic chocolate.
Yeah.
Um, and then Yeah, that's pretty much it. Or I'll do tea with raw honey, like
Yeah.
as sweet.
You can
But
do,
that's it.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say chocolate because I will make like low carb brownies, but I'll buy like the cocoa chocolate, like the chocolate that doesn't have the sugar in it. Then I put stevia in it so that it's not having the regular sugar in there.
Mm,
So again, I don't crave a lot of that stuff either because I think when you don't eat it all the time, it's kind of like I was telling the woman yesterday on the show. If I get up in the morning and start eating carbs in the morning, my whole day is going to be wanting that stuff. I'm going to be, but
mm,
I eat bacon and eggs almost every single day for breakfast. That's my breakfast.
mm,
There may be one carb in that meal, one carb in that whole
mm,
meal. That's my breakfast and I'm good. Like, and then at
mm,
lunch, if I eat a hamburger patty with cheese, maybe one carb again,
mm.
I might not even eat 10 carbs in a day if I
Yeah.
eat and so I never really crave that stuff. But if I
Mm, mm.
start in the morning, if I start with something, a lot of carbs, then I'm going to want the ice cream or I'm going to want to,
Yeah.
but
This
I'm
is
with you.
actually, it's kind of an evolving thing for me. It's always changing and different.
Yeah.
This year, I heard about people doing no dairy, no sugar. So
Right.
I tried that. Like before I was with dairy, I just started doing raw milk, but then I heard some people say no dairy. So I thought, let me give that a try. So I haven't been doing dairy and sugar. I don't eat any sugar during the day. Occasionally, if I eat any sugar, it'd be in the evening time, and
Gotcha.
it would only be honey or like a date. And that's because I
Yeah.
noticed that if I do eat sugar during the day, it kind of affects your energy at the end of the day, for me
Yeah.
personally.
Right. Right. No,
But
I'm
I'm
with
always
you.
trying different things though, so it always
Yeah, yeah.
changes.
Well, you got to
Yeah.
figure out what works for you, and and I'm not the person that says you have to do everything, like my way or whatever. I think we're all different. Okay, there are many people. Like I was telling, like I always say to people, mine is purely I have a health condition, and for me, that is what works for me. I've done it before, it worked, and I'm just stuck. Like I am not changing anything because we're good. Other than my little crud I got last week, we are good for the most part. So Ali, this has been amazing. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, maybe they are here in the local area and they're looking for a cleaning service. Maybe they want to follow you. They want to learn more about your story, keep up with you, all the things. Where would you like us to send them?
Yeah, if they're local and they reach out, I'm always happy to connect with people and grab coffee and like get to know other people here. Um, they can reach me at my name, Ali Alzurufi. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Everywhere is just that name. No one else really has that name. And
Yeah,
then
we can find you. If not, they can reach out to me to find you, right? But give us the
yeah,
website too, so they know where that is too.
yeah. So and then everywhere else, Tidy Upped. So tidyupped.com. Social media is at Tidy Upped. So everywhere across the board, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or actually, yeah, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, all the social media
You're in all the
platforms.
places.
Um,
I love it.
so yeah, that's where I'm at. And soon that I'm gonna create a website and it'll be alialzrufi.com, but that's not up
Very good.
yet. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, love it. Well, I love what you're doing. Keep up the great work. Keep inspiring and growing and doing all the things. It's going to be fun to kind of see, where all this goes for you and how you evolve and over the years and keep the business, moving in the space that you want. And then you're acting and all your other things. You're dancing and you're cooking all your cool things. So we appreciate you and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge with us and your story.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. I had a lot of fun being on here. Oh, sure. Just one last thing I wanted to
Yeah.
add. Just reminded me. I also it's good to make your own perfume. So I make my own cologne using different oils. So
Okay.
because using synthetic perfume can affect the
Yeah.
way your brain, functions.
Hmm.
So anyways,
Yeah.
just remember that because I kind of smelt it now.
Yeah,
But yeah.
no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's funny because I was just trying to find an air freshener for my cats, and I was trying to find one that was not toxic, that didn't have all the because
Mhm,
a lot of the air fresheners have stuff in them. So I was like,
mhm,
I need to find a non-toxic air freshener for my cat so I can put something in the room that is not, going to be like toxic to them.
mhm.
So I'm with you on that. I get it, and thank you for sharing that. So.
Cool.
Of course, to our audience, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this episode inspiring and informative. And of course, if you do, share it, hit the like, subscribe, do all the things so we can continue sharing this great content and telling the stories and inspiring. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.